today I'm going to do a little foil work and texturizing the foil and then painting on the foil. So I'm going to get right to it. I am going to start drawing my background, which is a mountain, and I got this taped down just so it's easier to deal with, and I'm using a stylist. You can use a ballpoint pen that's run out of ink. You can use well, you can use one that actually has ink in it. I'm just making any squiggle. You could do this, right? You can just squiggle. You just want it to keep moving and be different. You don't want it to be a straight line. And it always will look good. And you can go a little heavier if you want, but that's fine. And then I'm going to make a little land line across, little horizon here. And that'll be pretty straight because not too many oceans go downhill. And then I'm going to make a little island here for Wilson. It's stranded out on a desert island. And then I'm going to put another little section here. And I think I'm going to let it come out not quite halfway. Makes it a little more interesting. It's about halfway here. And then I'm going to have palm trees coming up. And I'm going to have a nice big palm tree there. And all you have to do is draw a line. It doesn't have to be perfect because I haven't met a palm tree that was perfect. And then, of course, they're like a friend. They tend to grow in twos, and we'll bring them up there. So it doesn't matter if it's over here or over there. It's just, it needs a little buddy. And then another one over here maybe, just to make it interesting. And I'll put him right there. That looks pretty nice to me. So those are my palm trees. Then I want to have a sun coming up, or a sunset. How's that? I like sunsets. So I'm going to put a nice big sun over here. Now you can take a photograph of this demo and just trace this on if you want, but it's really no big deal to do. Okay, so these are my zones, and this is my mapping. So what I do next is, and that's a stylist, next I'm going to use is a metal brush. And what I want to do is, you always want to pull from the center of the sun out, and I'm pulling out streaks, which will give that impression of rays of sunlight. And I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'll finish it later, but I just want to show you how to use the different tools. Otherwise, this is going to be a very long video. So anyway, you pull out of the center. You get the idea. And just keep doing it till you like it the way you like it. If you want more, you put more. You want less, you put less. It's just a matter of how much texture you want in it. And I like a little more texture closer to the sun, and as it goes away, for me. But it's different for everybody. So you do what you like. Sorry about the bump. Anyway, but you do want it to come out of the center of the sun, all these textures. So in other words, if it helps you, just draw lines to get you started. And that's the lines you follow. So the next thing I want to do is the mountain. And I'd like to give it a little bit, anywhere I see a little crease that I happen to be, see the little crease there, can be, just give it a little feeling of something, like a mountain coming in front. Now those mountains go in the back. And not too much texture in the background, because whatever is in the background, it should be a little softer. Otherwise it comes forward. So we don't want that to come too forward. We're going to use paint later. Okay, so now the stylus has two ends. One's wider, one's skinnier. Anyway, I'm going to use the skinny one, and I'm going to start widening up this palm tree. And all I'm doing is scratching, and widening it up. Just following that same line you put in, so it doesn't matter. And then the palms are just like an asterisk with curves. See? Just throw them in there. You may want them in different lengths, though. You want them to be little ones, be big ones. Think about how they look. If you want, look at palm trees on a computer. And then it's kind of like a feather. They kind of come out. Don't worry about that. You can just push it back. There you go. And it's like a feather. I got a little heavy-handed. Anyway, so I just pull those in there. And that's how you make palm trees. It's very easy. And it shimmers when you're done, which is so beautiful. which is so great about these foils. It gives another dimension to your art, and it really gives you ideas you might not have had before. Oops, I taped this down so it doesn't move so much. And it's a little more difficult, but I can deal with it. And you see how I'm building? I'm adding more leaves or palms on that palm tree. Now I can widen that out more. I can go back and forth and give it texture. And that's how you do palm trees. I got a little hole there. Doesn't matter because it's glued. There's sticky back on this. It just pushes right back into place, and there you go. Okay, so now what I want to do is, I'm not going to do all the palm trees. I'll do them after. I want to use this texture tool because as the waves go back in the background. So what I put in the big waves in the front, and I'm just using this as a texturizing tool. And this is a Ranger texturizing tool. And I just kind of moving it back and forth and wiggling it. Look at how it looks like waves. It really works really good. And you can get back here. I know this is probably going to be hard to see, but you will see when I'm done. I will put it up close and see the wiggle, but at least it shows you how I do it. And I wiggle, wiggle, and then towards the front I use the wider ones because the waves will be wider. It doesn't matter that it goes over over that little island because we're going to work on that more. And then I just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And these are my little waves in my painting. And I got the little ones in the background. It automatically makes it small, which is really great. This is a great tool for this. So, okay, that's good enough for now. And so this is the first part. And what I'm going to do is reinforce that my little island because I can still see the lines. And I can just kind of rub it with the wider end this time. And just kind of, because it's rocks, it's sand, and you can see how you can do that. Now I wanted to show you, you can use a pen as well as a stylist, but the thing is with a pen you get marks on it, and with the ink, I don't mind the marks. I just don't like the ink because what it will do is muddy up your color. So what I'll do is I'll play with a pen and get it in there. So this gives you another option. You don't have to run out and buy a stylist, but I just wanted to show you what else you can use. So there's my little island. And then what I'll do is I'll take a little alcohol blending solution or alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And I'll just take this and lift it off. See how it comes right off? Because I don't want it to be that muddy. Now this is the island, so it's going to be brown anyway, so I don't really care. But there, I just wanted to show you how that works, so you can take it off if you want. So I'm just going to continue finishing this up, but this is basically how I do it. And then when I come back, we're going to paint. Okay, so I'm going to show you. I finished it up. I added a few little dots inside the landmass for the little island. Add a little dots, push it. It pushes up and down, so you get to play with this. It's very much like sculpting, and you want all these high and low spots. It's really makes it even more interesting. So now I want to show you what it looks like, because it's hard to see. So can you see how you get all those beautiful reflections, and it already looks like a little something going on there. So, okay, now I'm ready to paint. So here we go. So now I'm getting ready to start painting my sunset. And I'm starting with Sunshine Yellow, very, very little on my brush. I put it on my palette, my Tim Holtz alcohol ink palette. And I do a lot of mixing. And I don't care if it goes over the palm trees because yellow and blue make green, and they're green, so that's going to be just fine. And so go right over that. Plus, there's going to be a lot of reflection from the sun on the mountain and on the water. So don't be afraid to add a little of this. So I'm adding a little more of my alcohol ink, Sunshine Yellow, and I'm putting that right around in here, around the sun, but I want this lighter than over here. So I'm putting that on, and I'm going to just cover the whole darn thing with it, except for the water. I don't want the water to be, because it's green, it's going to be blue, and I don't want it to get bluey green. So I'm just doing that. And then I build. Do you see how you can build? And using this palette and letting it dry, you get a little more depth to everything, and you get more control over your ink. So you can do whatever's on your mind. You can see how I'm using it. And this is a nice round brush. So anyway, I'm just getting that on there. I don't care if it's going over all of those palm trees. That's fine. That works great. And now I'm going to go into my next color, which is going to be honeycomb. It's a little darker yellow. So I'm going into my dry palette, which is just the same thing as it's this Tim Holtz palette, but it's dry ink in there. And so now I'm going to put a little more of that yellow-orange up into this area. And like, again, I don't care if it goes over the, it's hard to talk and paint at the same time. It doesn't matter if it goes over the palm tree, because like I said, the yellow is part of the green. So that's just going to be fine. So no worries. Do not try to be so perfect. It really looks better if you make a mess and you work very quickly. So anyway, I'm going to use some of that on the back side of these mountains and there. Now I'm going to go into some orange, some of the sunset orange. And we're going to start from the outside now and work my way in. Because see how much darker that is? And that gives a really nice look to your sunset. It's where it really builds. And as it dries, it gets a little darker, and you can pull some more in and just tap it in there. And I dry off my brush a lot and then just kind of soften. See that? How pretty is that? And if, let's say you get to, see how these have marks? I don't really want the marks, so I'm just going to go in and soften. Kind of like rouging, like, or putting makeup on. Tough if you're a guy, you don't use the makeup too much, huh? Unless you're on TV. Anyway, there you go. That looks pretty nice. Now I can even lighten up any area, like that sun. I could add a little more yellow. I can take yellow off using the blending solution. Just be real careful, because you want your brush a little dry, because it'll take off too much. And if it does, then you just go back and do it again. Not a worries. You're never stuck. You're never like, oh my God, I just wrecked it. No, you never wreck it. It just is another layer. And the more layers you have, the more realistic it comes out. So that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to move on to the mountain. And what I'm going to do is use a little teak in my palette and mix it with all those oranges and reds and yellows that I have. And then I'm just going to put that on lightly. Now I'm going to kind of go around the palm trees a little bit, so as they stay not muddied up with the brown. And see how that went into my ocean? Not a worry. You just take another brush, a little blending glue solution, and just lift it off. There you go. Voila! See, there's no muss, no fuss. You're never stuck. I could like lift this whole thing off if I wanted to. And I'm just gonna kind of paint that in. I want it a little darker on this side. And see how you can just keep layering? So that's how you do that. And just use all these different colors, because you want it to be different colors, because the more colors you have, the more realistic it looks, because in real life nothing is one color. So the more colors and the more mixtures, the real important thing is just value. Make sure the darks are where they belong. You don't want the dark on the sunny side. And you can follow some of your little scratch lines, or let the scratch lines take care of themselves. And I'm going to get some more blending solution, and just put that over here and slide that back. There's another mountain. The mountains are wherever they are, just like in real life. See how it catches the light on those little groove marks that I made for the design? That's the good stuff. And I'm going to take a little more of the teak wood color and throw in a little horizon there. This side will be a little darker than over here. This will be a little darker because at the top is going to have the sun hitting it. and reflected lights. And I just paint around it. See how pretty that is? And you want this to be up and down, textured, kind of bouncy. Don't be afraid. Like I said, if you don't like it, you can just take this whole thing off and start again. But it's really easy. You're not going to have to do that. It's really easy. I just want to take your fear factor away. No fears. Here we go. I'm going to darken right in this little groove. And that's how you make the feeling of, you know, a different side. Let the ink do it. The ink will work for you. You don't have to really put it in. Just know that you're going to dark side over here. Just put dots in. You can always use a little blending solution and change things if you want. And I like this area to be dark. And I want this area to be my center of interest, so I'm going to put a little more dark right in here. See how you're already looking here because I put a little dark there? Okay, that looks pretty nice for now. And I might just, you know, I can't leave nothing alone. I can keep playing. Okay, so I'm cleaning off my brush. I'm going to go into a little orange and just kind of put some of that in there. See how pretty that is? Oh, that looks really nice. Okay, so then I'm going to just tap off this. Wipe out your brush so it's hardly any solution in it. So now you can manipulate these little nuances in your mountain. See how it's starting to look like a little mountain? I'm letting the ink decide where it goes. I'm just kind of pushing it around. And there you go. Very pretty. Of course, you can fuss with this all dang day, but I'm going to move on because I know you don't want to watch me watch my paint dry. So the next thing I'm going to do is start adding my watercolor, which is pool. Basically, it's pool, and I'm going to start in the front. And I want to leave a little ridge right before the island because I want it to look like waves are hitting. So anyway, I'm hitting a little pool up here and then I'm pulling it back. Do you see how less and less comes off my brush? Because it's thinning out. So I'm going to put that little pool in here, leaving that little area kind of blank. Of course, if you go over it, we don't care because you can just repaint it and you can lift off with the blending solution. And I'm just going to pull that across. This is my center of interest. I want this really beautiful right here. And then I'm going to just pull it back because there's less coming off my brush now. Do you see how beautiful that is? Look at that. I'm just smearing the color. I'm not even doing anything. So now I'd like to make this even more dramatic. So I'm going to go into some sailboat blue and get a little more darkness in the foreground so the whole thing will come closer to you. Do you see how that works? See, that's very flat looking. Now we're going to add depth. And all we have to do is go a little darker. And sailboat blue is a beautiful ocean color. Makes sense, huh? Sailboat. Anyway, I just use very little solution on my brush. Very little. Because it's very fast. It makes it fast. And I'm bouncing it and I'm working my way back. Do you see how there's depth now? And I can go even further with the dark. I can make this even darker over here. So you can come back and forth. Do not feel like if you want to say, oh, I wonder what it would look like if it's dark here, just do it. Because if you don't like it, you can take it off. But I think I'd like a little dark here just to add a little something. And I can, like I said, I can change anything I want because it's my world. You see how all the texture marks really pop out and really help that shimmer for the ocean? It almost looks like this sparkling ocean. Okay, so now I'm going to do is the green on the palm trees. So I'm going to clean off my brush. And now with the palm trees, I'm using a liner brush. And I'm going to use some citrus. And I'll put a little of that in my palette. I kind of like to use my palette down here instead of the wells all the time because I like it to mix with other colors. So I'm using a liner brush so that it catches the light. It catches the thin lines. You know, I'm keeping it thin. Do you see that? Look at that. And all I'm doing is just painting it in there and letting the lines do all the work. All that sculpting you did does all the work. You don't have to do anything. And this is my citrus, which is the lighter yellow green. So I want that to be first. Remember, we used yellow on this to begin with. So let that dry. Come up here to these beautiful little palms. Let that come right off the paper foil because it makes it look bigger than it really is. It gives you such an explosion on your painting. It makes your painting look huge, even though it's small. Do you see how big that looks? Now, let's say you wish this palm was longer. You can go back with your stylus or your pen and do that. So don't throw away those empty pens. They're really great stylus. Sometimes I think I like them better than the stylus because the stylus are kind of strong. They're hard. They're metal, so they're very, very, very hard. And then I got this one here. Sorry about that. I'm going to add some more green to my palette. And I'm going to continue filling in some of these. And do you see how it goes into the grooves? How beautiful is that? Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to go into this one. And put these in here. And just get them going. And it's all right if it's part of the tree because I'm going to put the tree in a little bit. So this is good. And I'm having a hard time seeing that one. That's okay. Like I said, if you decided you want more palms on your palm tree, you can do that. It's just a matter of what you like. I like to come over the mountain with palms because it pushes that back. That's very good design. And okay, so that looks pretty nice. I got another. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my teak. And I'm going to put in these palms. You're just painting it with the teak. No big deal. Look at that. And you can just bring that around and pull that down into this beautiful island. Now see how heavy this is? I don't like it that heavy on one side because the sun's hitting it. So what I do is just wipe out my brush, use the very dry brush in the blending solution and just tap on it. And remember what I said, you can always take off, and here you go. See how that lit it up? Look how pretty that is now. So you're never ever stuck. And this is really pretty. Okay, so got that going. I want to get another stem on this, well, trunk, tree trunk. And then sometimes they get these things coming off. So you can do anything you want. You are never stuck where you can't do something. And I even sometimes like to put a little of that color into some of the leaves, just because the color can go around. And I want this side a little darker over here. So you can see you're still painting as much as you want or as little as you want. I like this to be green, so I'll come back and I'll show you how to fix that, which is good because you need to see how I do these things. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the island, which I'm just using the teak but thinned down with blending solution. And here's my island. So I want it darker over here where it's hitting that little wave right there. And then I can even go a little darker. Because you know where it gets wet from the lapping of the waves is darker. It's lighter up here. And I might mix that into some of my orange, my teak, and work my way up. And work my way right up to orange again, sunset orange, right up here. See how it's catching the light? Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So, and then I just tap the bottom of the palm trees and they plant themselves into the island. All right, so now I might like a little bit of more blue right under in this area here, so as my wave shows up a little bit more. So you can just tap a little bit of blue underneath, so that light spot looks like waves. Because remember, closer to us is a little darker and lighter further away. And there you go. Look at that. It's starting to look like a little wave. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go back into my trees. This is time consuming, but it's such a beautiful effect. And I'm going to use some meadow now because I want to darken some of the palms on this tree because I don't want them all really bright. And so what I'll do is I'll put a little alcohol down on the palette and wipe it around so it darkens down, dries out a little bit, gives me a darker value and doesn't break so much. Do you see how that works? And it's a little bit darker in the middle. And where the light comes up, it'll be darker above it because the light's hitting it there. So you gotta always keep an eye on where your light source is. That's important. And right in here is dark. Of course, I'm doing this 100 miles an hour. I hope you take your time a little bit more than I am. And it is just a stunning piece of art. This is a beautiful piece of fine art. And what a beautiful gift to get to somebody. You put this in a frame, it's stunning. And it shimmers and moves. It's a nice conversation piece, that's for sure. And bring that down. And put some more alcohol ink on there and pull that in there. And I like this this little palm here. I'd like it to be a little bit more over that palm tree. So I'm just adding a little more. I want it to come over this. So I just can do that. You see how that is? And when you overlap things, it looks even prettier. So this just shows how you can change anything you want. You can just come right back. See that? Lift it right off. There you go. But now that I'm looking at it, it looks a little bit too long. See how you can change your mind? That's fine. Just bring it out part way. There you go. That looks good. I like pushing things back and forth, and that looks better. And then I'll take a little more teak and darken right there. And bring that teak down a little bit more and give that a wider body to its trunk. Could use a wider body. And then I'm going to darken in here again. I can even put little shadows. Give the idea of this and that. And this mountain will be a little darker because the light's hitting the top. And so you can play with this like forever. But you get the idea, I think. And it's a really pretty project. And I just wanted to show you one more thing you can do. Is you can take a piece of sandpaper and lightly rub the top. And some of those marks will pop out as silver because of the foil. And you get even a nicer look. You can even put that on some of your palm trees. Just lightly go over it. It'll catch the high spots, and then you can, there's that hole I had, but see how easy it is to fix? No problem. And it's all about adjustments, and if you can learn to do adjustments, you're going to be the most best artist in the world. I have one more thing to tell you before I let you go, is I would put a little of the yellow of the sunset into your water. I'm always thinking, you know. And also you can take some of that orange and put it little dabs on there. I darkened my palm trees a little bit more, and I just wanted to make sure you knew that. I don't want to I want to tell you as much information as I can. So anyways, just soften out the edges. And do you see how much prettier that is with a little of that glistening? You can even take a little of that and put it up here on the waves and on the top of your on the top of your island, because you can even put some on the. So anyway, just showing you. I just wanted you to see that you can do many things. You're never stuck. You're always able to play around, and you can even put a little glow. See, now that I'm doing this, I see all these things I could do even more. Put a little glow around the outside of the sun, which will make the sun glow a little bit more. So, you know, it's just a matter of what you like to do. And then wipe out your brush, tap it out, and just give it a little smear. See how pretty that is? Tap out your brush, because you don't want it too juicy, because it's going to slide too much. There you go. That looks pretty nice. So anyway, there you go. A little more, another layer. And it's all about layers. The more layers you add, the nicer it looks, and the more realistic you get. Actually, it's very playful when it's less layers, and a little more tight and realistic the more layers you put on. It's just a matter of what you want. But you see how the little darkness brings out a little bit more on it. It's really pretty. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. And again, please leave some feedback. Let me know what you think, and I hope you try this out and enjoy this. And I'd love to see your rendition of this, or even your own ideas. Thanks again, and talk to you again next time. Happy painting.